I agree.
If you are, I'll tell you an example of this that perhaps illustrates it. There's a really interesting philosophical debate of whether you wait to be rich to be philanthropic. Well,
Right.
I don't believe that because
I don't either.
No.
Somebody who's not philanthropic now is not going to immediately become philanthropic once they have more money. Somebody might volunteer their time now if they don't have money, and then when they have money, it'll amplify that, and they'll be able to donate money and volunteer more of their time or resources or whatever it is. But money amplifies what's already there.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show.
We shouldn't have a podcast. Towel on your chair, and you clip this to the back of the chair, because the wind will blow your towel. I don't know if you've ever been on a beach long enough for the wind to blow, Amber, but if you're on a beach, the wind may blow, and if you get up from your chair, guess what else blows away? Your towel does. Now you won't get up out of the chair because you don't like the water. You have a personal vendetta against the ocean, which calls into question lots of other things. But you're not supposed to hate the sea. The sea is life. But for us that don't hate the ocean, that don't disrespect Mother Nature and her bounty at every turn, the rest of us get off of our beach chair and we venture out into the at least the shallow water. Let the water hit your toes. Although I must admit, it's a disconcerting experience for the earth to shift under your feet when you're at the edge of the water on the beach. It's
Or when the seaweed wraps around your legs.
That's nasty. I hate that. I hate murky water. I hate lake water because you can't see what's under you. Like, I'm okay with the Caribbean, crystalline waters. You know exactly what you're getting into. If there's anything swimming around, you can see it from where you're standing. Lake, murky water, no. Yeah. I'm with you on that one, Amber. I hate it.
I make it a personal mission not to get in a lake for any reason. That type of lake. There are pristine lakes, Tahoe comes to mind, if I'm not mistaken. There are a lot of lakes around the world that are fairly clear, but that brown water stuff, the rusty water, I don't do that. Nah, I don't want that. I don't want that water in my mouth or any other bodily orifices.
I did get in the lake once when I was 34 weeks pregnant. I went stand-up paddleboarding with my parents. They had never been.
Best time to do it.
Everybody's like, oh, you're pregnant. Like, it'll feel amazing to get in the water and just float. So, okay, cool. So I get off the stand-up paddleboard, and then I realized I can't get back on because you have to, like, muscle up to get back on this thing. So I'm massive. And trying to get back on the stand-up paddleboard was not a good look. I had to get help from the guide to get my back on the paddleboard because I was just too big.
This is around 3-ish years ago.
4 years ago.
About 4. Okay, yeah. And this was a lake. This was a lake in South Carolina. The South Carolina lake
Probably
of
a lake I
paddleboarding.
should have been in.
I feel like all humans that have ever carried a child in their body, like have ever grown a child in their body, can relate to that feeling of being like a turtle turned upside down. And it's like, nah, you can't quite. It's just help somebody, just like turn me over. I don't know.
Yeah. So, just great story, Amber.
This conversation doesn't include me, so it wasn't interesting.
No. Keep texting, John. I'm leading all kind. My personal mission for the rest of April is to lead as many conversations away from your expertise as possible.
I never said I didn't have any expertise in the conversation. I've been in a lot of lakes and a lot of oceans. I just don't find the conversation interesting. No, it has nothing to do with expertise. You want me to contribute? There's puffer fish in the ocean here. You ever stepped on a goddamn puffer fish?
I would not like to.
Yeah, you don't want to step on a puffer fish. You ever see that Simpsons episode? Tasty fish. Or poisonous fish. Poisonous fish. Poisonous fish.
Yeah.
Tasty fish. The thing with puffer fish is, like, they're super pointy and super poisonous. And there's a lot of them here. So I can contribute to this conversation is what I'm proving right now as I'm contributing to the conversation. All that I was saying is that I didn't find the conversation interesting. So I was not contributing to the conversation. It has nothing to do with whether I cannot or can be involved in the conversation.
So one last bit that I want to add to it, like that I feel like everybody should know is that there is no, wait. This I freaking love this. In one of the main Toronto hospitals, I don't know if in all of them, but in one of the bigger main Toronto hospitals, they have a tropical disease division because that's how many Canadians travel the world and then get poked and prodded and poisoned by random shit all around the globe, and then they have to come back and get medical help. So just so you know, if you didn't know that about the medical system in Canada, we got you.
It's pretty common knowledge that like Canadians and Americans are in this like little petri dish that I mean, the minute that they exit out of their little bubble and like their bodies encounter what the world is actually like, it really just kind of annihilates them. I mean, we do company retreats abroad. We didn't do this year because of COVID, but we do company retreats abroad. Amber was with us in Mexico the last 2 years, for example. And like 2 years ago when we did it in the town that I live in, Sayulita, like everybody got sick. And a lot of the people on our team had never left the United States before. It's like, it has nothing to do with you catching a disease or anything like that. It's like legitimately your body is weak. That's all that it is.
You need exposure. Expose yourself.
You have never been exposed to like anything other than the petri dish of the United States. And when you exit and realize that like dirt actually exists, like you're gonna get sick and poop a lot.
It cracks me up because I mean I come from a place we grew up playing with scorpions. So it's like, you know, oh, you got bit by something. We call that Tuesday. I don't know. It's just
scorpion. I was a scorpion by my front door a couple weeks back. You do. You just move it over with your shoe. It's like
it's like shoo.
Yeah, that's a no for me, dog. I don't do Ren no do the scorpions, man. That sounds awful, yet exciting in some ways. You know, I think the last time I left the country, I probably got extra COVID. I was on a cruise ship in December of 2019. No, that was December 2020. Yep. No.
Do you remember
2019.
No, it was December 19th.
Yeah,
December 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Let's think through this. What was the exact date?
It was December 19th through the 26th or something. I think I was on a ship for Christmas.
So it was a 7-day cruise, December 19th, December 26th, on a cruise ship over Christmas holidays. You said 2019. I just want to make sure we get our facts right for all the listeners who are deeply involved in this.
Because it matters.
It matters.
I know they're riveted by the conversation. but when I came back, I went to a football game in January, and I was sick. You know, and I was sick. You know, and all my this was when like all my clients were sick. Like there was at one point, like at the end of 2020, end of 19, beginning of 2020, where like everybody had a flu that wasn't the flu, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us have been exposed, but the U.S. agencies
were denying at that point.
Were not forthcoming with what was going on. So
what I need to you, Len Jones, on your cruise December 19th to December 26th, when you entered back to the United States, were
single-handedly
patient zero, the
patient zero
of COVID. I believe there was somebody from Wuhan on your cruce. And
right. Oh, there were a lot of people.
States.
There were quite a few people on that cruise from the area.
And then you just high-fived somebody from Italy. They flew back home.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
Basically, what you're saying is all of this started with you on the cruise. Okay, that's good to know. Good that we got that documented.
And then I went to a super spreader event, football game in an NFL stadium in Georgia, and loudly cheered.
Shouted at the top of your lungs, and I mean, you didn't have to bring that blowhorn to like spit and blow.
He had the bubuzuela.
what happened was I like to eat beef jerky when I'm at games, so I buy a giant beef jerky stick and I just share it with the section. I'm like, hey, anybody want a bite of this?
That's right.
Want to taste of beef jerky? I mean, that thing really lasted. It was delicious. So I caused a few events. We've got a subject today. I feel out of it. I feel like I'm not in my. I'm not in my
We could
flow
all tell
today.
by the
I
first
took
story.
a few.
We could all tell by the first story.
Yeah, well, I know it wasn't my best first story. I was off, quote unquote, off for
Do you remember,
really
Ren,
off.
at the beginning of this podcast, the first 20 or so episodes, you planned in advance and you tried to think of stories and the transition into the topic from the story. Do you remember how much effort you used to put into this?
Way too much. Yeah, I remember being tired. I remember thinking it's not worth what I'm getting paid. That's what And I'm a slow learner, so it takes me like 20 instances of repetitive defeat to realize, hey, I'm making some mistakes here. Like I got some errors. The people don't know the difference. They don't care. And it seems. And then John, your randomness unlocked the gateway for me to be much more random because I was like, well, Jonathan obviously didn't put any thought to what he's saying now. It's just.
Zero work in preparation for this podcast.
Clearly, no preparation. Kettle was there some of the time, and Amber was, as always, ambivalent, So I'm like, I'm working too hard for this thing. Like, I never want to be the person in the group to excel. It's way too much pressure, and people pay too much attention.
That's why we don't have guests.
Kettle feels the same way.
Yes, I want to say. I want to say that Amber today asked me for my address, and I am officially terrified because I don't know if she's sending me a gift, if she's sending me an insult, anything. It could be anything, right?
Eyebrows.
Like, I don't know.
Look at my eyebrows. Hey, listeners.
Oh, she's going to give that. She's going to give that, too.
She also asked me for a budget.
It better be a really high budget, okay?
She didn't ask me for a budget. I made up that part. I should be honest.
They know nothing. I just bought it today, so
I have no idea what's going on.
give it to me.
So again, I'm terrified. I don't know. Also, it was Ren's birthday. It was Ren's birthday. It was my birthday,
and that's part of why I was off. If again, quote fingers off. I'm never off anymore. That's not a thing anymore. I just work less in different places.
Here's the thing about birthdays. Birthdays. Okay, when your birthday was insignificant, you turned. Here's the thing. You turned 47 years old. That's an insignificant birthday.
It really is.
You get all of your birthdays count until you turn 13 years old. Okay? After 13, the only birthdays that count are on 5s and 10s until you hit approximately 30. At that point, from 30 to 70 years old, the only birthdays that count are on 10s. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
Lies.
Then once you hit 70, your birthdays start to matter again, every single one of them, because you don't know how many more you got. That's how
wow, one more year. Wow.
Because you're phasing out.
That was dark.
It got dark fast. But Kettle, what about 16, Jonathan? 16's a big birthday,
And la quinceañera, you can't tell any girl in Mexico turning 15 that doesn't count. You're asking for people to rebel.
Specific cultural birthdays, fine. You got it, okay?
Well, what about 18? 18, that's a big birthday.
18 is a big one,
21, which is not a multiple of 5. 21's a big one. And then after that, you're probably right. I'll say from 21 on, it's probably a multiples of 5 thing. Maybe not even. Not until 30. It's probably multiples of 10. I think it's multiples of 10 more so.
I 30, go 40, all 50. Out every year, my birthday, because I believe I am worth it. And I choose to celebrate myself for like a week or a month or however long I want, because why not?
So we do
that is what I do.
Yes. My stepdad's Puerto Rican, though. He brought this to us, and it's all month long that we celebrate birthdays.
Yes, I call it. It has a name. I legitimately last year I couldn't because of COVID, but Carapalooza. It's a thing. I'm just saying. It's like our actual annual celebration of the day that Kara was born, because that's how big this is.
I'm going to call you Karen from now on. So Karen, You are more than welcome. You're more than welcome to celebrate your birthday however you want. I just want you to know that you don't need to send me an invite. That's all I'm saying.
Jonathan will not be attending
until you're on the
Kettlapalooza.
tents. Until you're on the tents. When you
Super
are on the
fun. We
tents,
go all out.
I will be there with a gift to the Karen Palooza. Until you're on the tents.
Carapalooza doesn't end until we get the cops called to my house. That's how it goes.
Karen Palooza is what it is.
No, Caro Palooza.
That's what the authorities are called.
Yes.
Oh, last call involves authorities. And Jonathan, I got your very lovely automated card once again this year. That was amazing. I always enjoy getting that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was sent, so you're welcome.
Yeah, I know you did, Jonathan. That's right. Well, that's what automation does for you. I'm sure you were somewhere reading a book, not knowing the joy and excitement that I was experiencing. Opening this year's Jonathan Goodman card. There was a lovely picture, and I think you were eating birthday cake. I was
eating birthday cake. We did a full photo shoot. For those of you who don't know, I don't know why you would, but for those of you who don't know, I send birthday cards in the mail to people. And when I say I send birthday cards, I certainly don't sit there and lick the envelopes and stamps. What we do is I do a. I have all like professional colleagues and stuff like that in what's called a postable account. It's just like an online address book, and we do a photo shoot every single year. So this year, Bobby helped me. She bought a cake and party hats, and a couple other girls who were at the co-working space offered to be models in the background. Like blowing the noisemaker things. And we took some photos, and then we chose a photo for the birthday card, and it's a really, really funny one. And I wrote a single note that says, sorry that I can't celebrate your birthday with you. I'm eating a piece of cake in your honor, which is a total lie. I ate that cake a long time ago. But then the system then automates a birthday card in the mail to go out to people for their actual birthday, because I put their birthday in the account too. And it's actually a kind of a neat way to just connect with people again.
I love it. The photo was incredibly festive. It was just an amazingly festive photo of you and me.
Did you see my triceps in it, though? I made sure to get a good angle.
I did not.
Oh, check it out again. It's a good angle. That's the main reason why I did it. It makes my tricep look good.
So it's already in the trash, Jonathan.
That's the most important thing about. That's the most important thing about celebrating somebody else's birthday is you got to make sure that your arms look good in the picture.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's how it works.
Can I tell you guys this? Full admission: I'm a one-day card person. I grew up with a grandmother literally, when my grandmother passed away, I found article clippings from the junior high school newspaper where I drew stories. And I was like, she kept everything. Aww. I am the complete, it sounds nice, but the dust, it's the dust that gets you. So I throw things away immediately. I have no sentimental attachment to anything. Like the day of the event, like Christmas happens, Christmas night, the cards go in the trash. Like I'm done with it. So I
on that card, Ryan. I'd appreciate you saving it for a little bit longer.
I threw Jonathan's away the same day, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. It's sort of, I treated it sort of like information from AARP, which I have started getting, and just still gave it a once over in the trash. I knew it was junk mail when I took it out, but it's very nice.
The only thing that I keep are my really, really valuable copies of African American Golfers Digest.
Collector's items for sure.
Those are collector's ones.
Can I tell on myself really quick? So
please do.
Yes.
When he mentioned this, I looked up this magazine. Unfortunately, they only come out like 4 times a year. I was going to subscribe John to this magazine. But by the time it would have arrived, it wouldn't have been funny anymore.
It would have been more funny. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine just out of nowhere in 6 months' time, I'm sitting at home and all of a sudden African American Golfers Digest just shows up at my door? That so much more funny.
Like, bro, this is the one with Tiger Woods' uncle in it. This is awesome.
It's just some relative of Tiger Woods and Vijay Singh. It is Vijay Singh isn't even African American. They're pulling that buzz. They're just
There's only one cover boy. There's only one cover boy for this.
Dark skin golfer
For the-
digest.
right.
It's African American, but like they gotta use VJ Singh because they don't have enough. Is what they're saying.
Brown people of the world. Brown people of the world. Golfers Digest. That's exciting. Amber, he'll forget by tonight. Just go ahead and do it anyway.
What could they possibly cover in that magazine?
Jonathan, I don't know. As the resident African American, I can tell you it boggles my mind. I cannot conceive of a quarterly or monthly publication that would have new news every episode. It's got to be like a 4-page. It's got to be like a Mad Libs or something, or like a Dr. Seuss book. It can't be more than 5 pages long. Shout out to a hearty shout out and happy season to all the African American golfers out there. We love you here at the. You guys don't know this, but you're the topic of discussion off air almost incessantly. Speaking of topics, we've got a topic today. We're talking about ads. Maybe we need to get an ad going for the African American Golfers Digest. But Amber brought up a good point. It's based on a conversation she had. I don't know what it's based on. I almost didn't really read the back channel that we're on. But I know that the topic is ads, and that's all. When is it appropriate to do an ad? When should you be doing ads? When we say ads, I don't mean like back of a newspaper or anything. We're talking about social media advertising, Facebook and your Instagram.
Yeah, like paying for ads. Let's have Amber teed up. Let's have Amber teed up. So Amber, what's the subject?
So when to pay for advertising, I had a student reach out to us saying that, I like the idea of, organic growth that you guys teach, but it's not working for me. So what I did instead is I purchased some Google ads and I'm getting great traffic to my website, but nothing's happening. Can someone take a look at the website and tell me what's wrong? And so general rule of thumb with ads is it's adding fuel to the fire, to steal John's phrase for that. You should already have your messaging figured out. So if your social media is not squared away, chances are the ads are not going to work. So I ended up going through his social media and his website and gave him a full kind of dissection of that.
So let me give a little bit more. I think that's great. I think it's brilliant. I like how you quoted me too. I think that was a really smart thing of you to do.
Sweet Jesus.
The extra context that I want to give before we hear from my esteemed colleagues here and Carolina is that
oh my gosh.
Is I have found in my experience is that a lot of people seem to jump to paid advertising far earlier than they should because it's a way to avoid doing the actual hard work. It's really, really easy to turn on an ad. The ad platforms have made it really, really easy to turn on an ad and feel like you're targeting the right kind of people. I mean, you go literally click, 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 enter your credit card, and you're like, oh, I'm advertising. It's like, well, you've actually never done the really important, really hard work. And as a result, A, your ads are going to fall flat. But B, you could save all that money in advertising because the really important, really hard work has to come first. And the really important, really hard work should get everybody their first 20 to 30 clients. And that's why we use as a general guideline, if you don't have 30 clients, 30 online clients, or if you're not already making $10,000 a month with online training, you should not do advertising yet. And that is a generality. Of course, there's exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule. But the reason why we use that generality is because it quantifies the idea that there are really important things that you have to do before you pay for advertising that will actually make your advertising not even more effective, but effective, right? Like basically it will make them work. Whereas, as Amber described with a student, and I don't know who it is, I don't know what the background of the story is, but it doesn't work if you haven't nailed in your message, if you don't have the right kind of home bases and it doesn't necessarily have to be a website, but like landing pages and I say landing pages like front pages of your Instagram account even. Like, people check that out. The reason why we can advertise effectively through the Personal Trainer Development Center is because we have such a strong brand. And when you consider that when you spend money in advertising, all of a sudden now you are competing with everybody else spending money in advertising. And I can promise you that there are people who have way more money, who are way better at using the advertising system than you. And they also have huge competitive advantages to you because they understand their market better, right? They've done all these things. So if you haven't done even the bare minimum there, you're going to lose your shirt. And it sucks because this happens a lot. Because it's easier to run out ads than it is to actually do the work that matters. And so I wanted to add that context before we actually started, and just to put it into perspective. You know, paid advertising is amazing. You have access to a almost unlimited flow of leads with paid advertising, but it's very expensive. And if you don't really have a good home base and sales and conversion and retention and upsell processes dialed in, somebody else does. And the way that the ad platforms work is it's a bidding platform, meaning that it's not a set you spend $2 to send an ad. What you do is you spend an amount of money to reach somebody, and you are bidding for that space, for that space in the feed against somebody else who also wants that space in the feed, and whoever bids the most amount of money gets that space in the feed. Right? That's how it works.
Crazy.
And so you're literally bidding against somebody else to be able to access those people, which makes it a very competitive environment. And so I wanted to just make sure that was there, like, first. And that's not to say that you shouldn't advertise. We spend a lot of advertising. It's great. But, like, it's not what you do. It's certainly not what you do first. And so, I'll kick it to you guys now. But I definitely wanted to add that before.
It makes sense. I've used ads before. And in my case, I've used ads to get to my following. You know, I was, I don't know if fortunate is the right word, but I was able to build a following on Facebook back when it was like normal. About 9,000 people. Yeah, about 9,000 people. And I noticed that they don't see my posts as much as I'd like for them to. So when I likely to respond to what I'm talking about, whatever the call to action may be. But that was after years and years and years of social media posting, and I still don't do it that frequently. You know, I'm interested in two things. Number one, I'm interested in Keto's perspective on this, but number two, I'm interested in sort of some of the tips that Amber was able to give, because she's, as we all know, Amber has an abundance of free time. And her boundaries are up so high that she barely gave any time to the student. You know, in actuality, I think Amber's shot a video. I think she shot a 2-hour documentary on ads for the student.
Yeah. What I love about Amber in this podcast is, I mean, I don't know, I'm not going to do this work because it's way too much work, but like, it would be interesting to calculate like what percentage of time all of us speak. And Amber is like by far the least.
Right.
And what would be interesting is, once we have that data, what percentage of time people add like real tangible value.
Right.
And I feel like Amber would be like 90% of the time that she
upper
speaks
90s
is like
easily.
Yep.
Like
easily upper 90s.
Like if we were to say, okay, the top 5% of like value, like 95th percentile of value given, and like what percentage of time people spend in that, Amber would be like 90% there and like 2% of speaking. Like, it really is quite uncanny when you think about it.
Pretty much. So Keto,
even though we know this,
right.
we still.
Well, we're not going to
continue
change, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
The point is not for us to do any better. The point is just for us to know that Amber's doing most of the work. That's what's important here.
Which is the lesson.
That's the lesson. That's the lesson. That's the lesson. Get one really strong member of the team. 3 of you get to goof off. That's basically what we do here. We legit don't even know how the podcast is made. Has anybody ever asked either one of you how the podcast gets made? Did you ever get a podcast? Yeah, I know you must, John.
I tell people to find an Amber.
Yeah. People ever ask you, Keto? Oh, Keto, I know you're on the podcast, and I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Tell me how it's recorded. Like, people ever ask you that? They know better.
Nope.
Yeah, they. We're pretty well clued into your personality type at this point, Keto. I can see why nobody asked you that. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, man, yeah. So I know you do the podcast. Hey, I'm thinking about doing Anchor versus." I'm like, bro, like I don't know. Like Amber does that. Like I just show up sometimes and I say stuff that doesn't have anything to do with anything, and then I go on my Spotify like a week or 2 later. And it's a podcast there, so I don't know what happened.
Magic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Carol, have you ever done an ad before we go to Amber? Have you ever run an ad at all?
So I have, and that was like years ago when the platform first changed from regular Facebook pages into like, hey, boost this post so that more people can see it. And so that was the extent of it, really. It was just for reach, and it was very little that I played with it. But after, when Facebook changed the algorithm so that everything was very much, ad oriented or like pay money for views, I essentially gave up. I was like, nope, I'm out. Because first of all, I don't understand it enough.
Right.
And if I don't understand it, I feel like I'm not, how am I going to be effective if I don't really know? And I'm not there where I want to, pay like an ad specialist to come and create my ad. And like, I don't have a company of that level to want and go there. So I just don't. And I'm very happy.
That makes sense. Hey, I think coincidentally, I think Pay Money for Views was the name of the show that Jonathan went to, the drag show. Amber, and he did. Amber, so what are some tips? Like in this 2-hour Netflix documentary that you filmed for this student in between doing 1,000 other things for the PTDC, the tips that you involved as you were editing and formatting and advertising the Netflix docuseries that you shot. What did you say? What helps here?
So, I mean, what I ended up doing was going through his Facebook profile and just kind of teaching him to set up his home base appropriately, and to show that you're not as clear as you think you are. And the biggest thing for him that I wanted him to take away is that anytime you put out something, you have to assume that they have no context. If you put out a post, if you put out sales copy and ad, assume they have no context. Is it clear who it's for, what you help them with, and what to do next? And if you can't master that in your post, chances are your ad's not gonna do well. So if you want to do an ad, you practice on your social media and you make sure that your home base is squared away. And so, making sure that, his USP was present, that it was obvious who he was helping, that his content was actually talking to his demographic. Because what happens with a lot of coaches is they'll talk about stuff that they want to talk about, and they provide no context. Like, we all talk about protein, but how I talk about protein with a new mom versus a kid in his 20s that wants to be an MLB player are totally different conversations. And so if you are not approaching your post through the lens of your ideal client, you can't do anything past that. If you can't get that better, then don't worry about anything else at this point. So working on, engagement and working on, sales call to actions, all that kind of stuff just wasn't there. And simplifying, talking at your, ideal client's level. For the most part, like when we're writing, don't write higher than a 9th grade, like reading level. Like make it that simple. Unless you're talking to peers, don't make it that difficult to read writing.
Even then,
if it's peers, we like to go down to 7th grade.
I was gonna just say that maybe 5th grade if you're talking to peers. We're talking about the fitness industry, right? I lift up and I put down.
Right.
I know count to 10. I lose count at
Right.
3. I only add in 15, 25, and 45. I know
That's
how
me.
to add otherwise. I know
Oh, man.
45, 45, 45, 135, plus 45, 45, 215, 225, 225.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked. So Jonathan, basically speaking, and feel free to chime in in this on this ghetto. Gosh, I struggle to get that out. Like what I see, and this would be a great podcast episode. Can we do the episode about how your content doesn't match your USP? I'd love to do that episode.
We should just start over.
Yeah,
This one.
we can do it now. We do that now.
We got 4 minutes left.
Yeah, it's not been anything coherently put together so far in this podcast. Why not just do it here?
To be honest, 4 minutes is more time than we usually spend discussing a topic. So I think that we should talk a little bit more so that we only have 2 minutes left, and then it attract them.
You're right. You're right, Jonathan. So if you're not already connecting with your unique selling proposition with your target audience, like why do an ad now? Like you already, to Amber's credit, like you're already not talking to the people that you said that you're wanting to help.
Yeah.
What's money gonna do for that?
Money is an amplifier. In everything you do, money is an amplifier. Right. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't solve anything. It amplifies what's already there. So,
right, I agree.
If you are, I'll tell you an example of this that perhaps illustrates it. There's a really interesting philosophical debate of whether you wait to be rich to be philanthropic. Well, I don't believe that because
I don't either.
No.
Somebody who's not philanthropic now is not going to immediately become philanthropic once they have more money. Somebody might volunteer their time now if they don't have money, and then when they have money, it'll amplify that, and they'll be able to donate money and volunteer more of their time or resources or whatever it is. But money amplifies what's already there, right? If you're a greedy jerk, you're going to be even more of a greedy jerk when you're rich.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're philanthropic, you're going to be even more philanthropic. So when it comes to your business, it's the exact same deal. Money is an amplifier. If you have a really, really strong foundation, if you have really good communication, if you understand how to tell your story, if you have good content, if you have a growing brand, if you have a growing reputation, and you put money on that, that's where the metaphor comes in, where you're putting fuel on the fire. If you don't have any of these things and you throw money at it, it's actually going to amplify the opposite. It's going to introduce people to you when you're not ready for them to be introduced to you. You're going to miss the opportunity at a first impression. You're going to waste a lot of money, and then you're going to feel horrible about yourself, and you're going to feel like giving up. It's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Money is an amplifier. That's all that there is to it. This goes like think about that concept in everything you do. Right? You cannot throw money at anything and expect it to be any different. You can only throw money at things and expect it to amplify what's already there, which is why you got to fix your shit before you throw money at something, personally and professionally.
I love this because it's like, okay, so if you already suck in talking to your target audience, you're just gonna suck more with money. Like
more people
right?
are gonna know you suck.
More people are gonna suck.
Exactly.
Probably won't have a negative effect because there's just so many people out there. It's not going to make you suck more necessarily, Carolina. But what it is going to do, what it is going to do.
Oh my god!
Next time, I'm just giving you the finger, and if people watching YouTube, then so be it.
What it will do, though, is it'll make you feel more hopeless, which is a serious problem because you now feel like you're really trying, which is awful. Like that feels horrible when you're really trying to something, particularly if you don't have a lot of money and you're spending even more money on it and it's not working. You'll feel even worse, and then your motivation and your energy to put yourself out there is going to be even less, which is a really bad thing. I mean, think about Carolina. Like I look at kids as an amplifier too. I think it's a really good example. I mean, you look at like all of your habits. Like I thought that I was good at prioritization and delegation and focus before I had Calvin. I didn't even know what those words meant. Right. I thought that I loved my wife when I told her I loved her when I married her. Then I had my kid, and I didn't even know what the word love meant until I saw my wife turn into a mother and grow into that role. I mean, it's just a new level. But at the same time, we also had fissures in our relationship. We had little things that perhaps weren't great about each other, that really weren't that big issues when we were, free living, a couple before we got married. And then once we had a kid and all that stress came in, again, it amplifies the good and the bad, and it broke those fissures wide open, man. And we were forced to deal with it. And so, I think this idea of an amplifier is a really, really powerful concept across your whole life. Like, you can't fix something by throwing a kid or throwing money at it.
Yeah, please don't throw kids at your problems. Please do not.
I mean, it's like a common thing, isn't it? To have
it's
a kid.
Very common though.
Well, it's like a common thing to have a kid to feel like that's gonna fix a broken relationship. How old is that?
Yeah.
Oh God, please don't. Yeah, nope. Nope.
Kiddo's like, I rode that ride. It made my tummy hurt.
Never again.
I got sick on that ride. So not getting back on that thing again. I can tell you that. Yes. Kiddo's got more visual aids. Oh my God!
You have redeemed yourself in all manners. I will never call you Carolina ever again. That's a lie. I probably will. It's funny.
Yeah!
But that is,
What is that? Is that a picture of the smiling sun with a bead of sweat on his head? Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
It's just too many.
We got all of them.
She's got so many emojis right now.
So many emojis.
Popsicle stick emojis. This is amazing.
That you forced your 4 children into child labor to make those for our podcast.
Right.
I was the mayor feeling bad.
Yeah, he felt bad because he took away the other cards because he needed to work or whatever.
Right.
I don't know, and allegedly, supposedly, whatever. And then he's like, "Oh, but look, I found these that they gave me for this really fun little event." And I'm like, they're all happy. How Canadian? They're all positive emojis. Where's my shit emoji? I want the poop emoji so that I can be like, that's bullshit, man.
That'd be funny. Actually.
Where's the angry emoji? I want the raging one when I'm like, come on, and then
Come
right,
at me, bro.
I need more realistic emojis that convey all of the full spectrum of the Caro experience here.
And not watching. Carolina, you may have already put 2 and 2 together, but Carolina held up what looks to be on a popsicle stick, a piece of paper with a laughing emoji on the face. And she has a whole series of them that we'll be using as visual props for our podcast moving forward, because still in episode 90 something or other, we still haven't figured out that podcast should not have visual effects. So we're just going to keep going.
Oh, man. Well, OTA is the industry's gold standard in online trainer education, revealing powerful techniques and strategies guaranteed to get you results. onlinetrainer.com/OTA. Come along and sign up and join us on this spectacular ride that we're having here.
I don't actually think that's the right link.
What is
that link works. Yeah, that link works. That's not. Well, we don't use the acronym OTA anymore because an ex-OTA student decided to come out with his own business coaching program called OTA.
No.
And when we messaged him about it, he basically said, "Screw off and go away." So anyway, we don't use the acronym OTA anymore. We call it the Academy.
The Academy.
Either Online Trainer Academy or the Academy. And so it's Online Trainer Academy or onlinetrainer.com/academy. But onlinetrainer.com/OTA does work. I just checked.
Yeah, it's a competent website. So what we're saying here today, if we've said anything at all, is money is an amplifier. If your messaging is in chaos and you throw some money on top of it, you're just going to spread that chaos in more places. Don't be like that. I already did that with COVID last year. So
Now,
thank you so much.
Who here listening
Raise your
really loves peace and prosperity? If that's you, raise your hand up high into the air.
Put that same hand in your pocket.
Now take that same hand, put it in your pocket. Take your
deep,
credit card and go to onlinetrainer.com/academy. Sign up for the Online Trainer Academy certification.
This is the Online Trainer Show. And we shouldn't have a podcast.
We shouldn't. We really shouldn't.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Advertisements. Do I need to do them? Probably not.
We don't have anybody advertising now.
No, I'm talking about the subject matter today. I'm wrapping up the show.
Unsurprisingly, nobody wants to pay to sponsor this podcast.
I mean, maybe you should or you shouldn't advertise. What you definitely shouldn't do is have kids to save that relationship. Do not do it.
Yeah.
We all agree on that.
We established nothing here today. Don't throw children at your relationship problems. It's not the way to go. They're fairly permanent.
To be entirely fair, I really did not search very hard to find an advertiser. But I do think that the show was stronger without one. So we might have one in the future, but
Maybe so.
yeah, I don't think it's going to work. So what did we learn today? We learned not to have children to save a relationship.
That's some life advice from the Online Trainer Show.
We learned something about swimming in lakes and oceans. I didn't really listen to that part. What else did you learn?
No bueno. Yeah, we're not swimming in the lake.
Right.
We're not here for that. And Amber's not touching her. She won't even touch her toes to the edge of the ocean. Nature's bounty.
Who doesn't like getting wet? Amber doesn't like getting wet.
Who doesn't like the ocean?
Who doesn't like getting wet? What does that even mean?
It's just it's so natural for humans. If there's rain all over the place, and then they got showers and drinking water. Like, is that okay?
There's only two exceptions: warm rain, and also, of course, racing. I will get wet for that.
That's disgusting.
I love mud runs, but
that's the worst kind of.
Yeah.
And I'll do it for Nate, but given an option, I do not like getting in the pool. I don't. None of that.
All right. Well, that's problematic in several ways that we can't address here today. And I'm a super spreader. That's also.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Today.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's all
came back from a Wuhan
The
cruise
Rona.
and super spread an event in Georgia. You're welcome, America. So we'll tune in next time to the Online Trainer Show, and we'll talk about some other stuff probably, but most of it will be nonsense. You're welcome, trainers out there. I got nothing else. You roll the jingle. Jingle.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.